Hey all, welcome to my channel. Um, let's get right to it. This season's over. It's done. There's nowhere they're coming back. The Mets are like pretty much out of it. I mean, I don't know what people would say, but if you're saying that the Mets can like come back from this, I'm a diehard Mets fan, and I know full well this is realistically speaking, they're not coming back. They're not going to make the playoffs, no matter how much statistically speaking or mathematically speaking, not statistically, but mathematically speaking, how much they're still in it in ways to the wild card spot. But in reality, they're done. There's no way the Mets are like coming back from this. They're like 8 games out from the last wild card spot. There's no reason. They at this point right now, the Mets need to be sellers more than anything else. Why? Because there's nothing they can do. No matter what even if they do a 16 game winning, if they go on a 16 game winning streak, that puts them back in there, but in reality, that's not happening. We know that for a fact because like everything that's going on right now, I don't know what's going on. The question is like, what do you do with Buck Showalter? I don't know. Honestly, Epler should be gone. I mean, I hate to say it, but yeah, he might have to be. He might have to get rid of him. But the thing is, who should the Mets trade? Honestly, they don't have much on their roster outside of Pete Alonso, which would definitely come back with a lot of prospects, but I don't think you want to hold off on selling him off. Batty, I think you want to work on keep him as well too. Similarly to with Lindor, you really can't get rid of. I mean, no one's going to really pay for his salary at this point, quite honestly. And the other aspect is as well too. Let's not forget that Lindor is pretty much the captain of the team, so you're going to have to keep him on board. And the other fact is he's doing decent, but I think given time he'll do well. McNeil as well makes like it's going to be kind of hard to trade him off at this point as well too. The one player outside of Kana maybe that you could trade off is probably Starling Marte. Starling is probably one of the few people that I think he's like over the age of 33, 34, something like that. But he has that. Maybe he has enough juice and oomph in him to help out a team, to get over the hump a little bit. I mean, I hate to say it, but maybe the team you trade him off to is maybe the Yankees. I mean, even though the Yankees are like sort of in the spot for the, yeah, they are they're still in it basically, at least when it comes to the wild card spot. At least they're in it at this point right now, so that's not a big thing. I think it's more of a case of the fact that they're so far behind the Orioles and the Tampa Bay Rays. It's one of those things where I think maybe you trade off Starling Marte to the Yankees for one of their prospects. The Yankees have a number of pretty good prospects. Certainly, the only other other players I think the Mets can actually trade at this point right now too is your two biggest stars on the pitching staff, which is Verlander and Scherzer. I mean, Verlander, he hasn't been living up to the hype, and I kind of figured that was going to happen because of his age and all that stuff. So it's one of those things. I think you're gonna have no choice but to trade him off at this point as well too. Team to trade him off to, it's hard to say. Honestly, you could trade him off to. My best bet, it would probably make more sense to trade him off to the Los Angeles Dodgers because they're playing catch up in the West right now, more than anything else. Similarly, Scherzer, you could trade him off to the Dodgers and you could definitely get some good prospects for either or. But Scherzer, I don't think is going to commandeer anything back from the Dodgers. I don't think the Dodgers would want Scherzer, but Verlander, I think they would want. And it's kind of interesting to get Verlander and Kershaw together. I mean, I think that was one of those things where people always wondered, how would they would do basically together, because those were two back in the early ons. If they were the tandem duo. I think those two can still be another tandem duo at this point as well too. I mean, Scherzer's not living up to his hype, like I said. And I don't think the Dodgers would take back Scherzer at this point as well too. Honestly, the best place you would probably trade him off to is maybe trade off Scherzer to either the Milwaukee Brewers or Cincinnati Reds. The Reds having a surprising season. The Brewers, they were kind of expected to do good. But yeah, the Reds I think was a surprise, and the fact that they have Votto, back as well too. It's a big thing. So I think trading off Scherzer to the Reds, I think they have a couple of prospects as well too they can get back. Not great prospects, but decent enough prospects that they can see if they pan out or not. Because honestly, Scherzer's not going to work out with the Mets at this point. So let's see, let him trim off the Reds and see what happens there. Like I said with Verlander, I think it's a lost season, and why waste your time on a 40-year-old to help you out? Because next year, he's not going to really help you much. I mean, he'd probably be that the the wise man on the team, the one with the most experience as a pitcher. But reality, I don't think it's going to help out for, especially if you're trying to rebuild again a little bit. So you might as well trade him off and get some prospects in the long term as well too. And quite honestly, you know what? Maybe trade off. I mean, you can't trade off Verlander to the Angels, but I mean, depending where the Angels are, they're doing really good actually. Surprisingly enough, I mean, like they're 42 and 37 right now. So I was hoping maybe the Mets trade off some of their prospects for Otani, because like unless the Angels know for a fact that they'll re-sign Otani, maybe the Mets trade for him, and then full well that they'll be able to re-sign him at that point as well too. Because like Shohei basically is either going to play with LA, either with the Angels or Dodgers, or he's going to be in New York, either the Mets, Yankees, or most likely as well to San Diego too. Let's not forget San Diego, but I think it's mostly going to be in the LA area, and then also of course. It'd be interesting to see if he was able to land in San Francisco. Oakland, of course, is going off to Las Vegas, so let's see what happens there. Who knows what happens there? But outside of that, I hate to say this, but yeah, like you might as well forget it, to be honest with you. And Carrasco's coming back. I mean, I don't know. Again, Carrasco's back. He's not really doing well. The whole purpose, the whole thing with Drew Smith, Senga. Maybe use Senga as like I said, he's the back of the rotation type of guy more than anything else. I mean, like the fact that now they're bringing back David Peterson and he's probably going to pitch on Tuesday against the Brewers. The guy's got an ERA over 8 practically. I mean, I don't even know why you bother keeping him on board. You might as well put him back down, or to train him to be a reliever, middle reliever basically. Have him train off as a middle reliever, because right now with the Mets, you have Brett Baty, Alvarez, Alonso, and maybe those 3 right there. Those are the 3 that you work around with Lindor. Build up another set of. I mean, the offense is kind of weak as well too, but maybe get one more power hitter along the ways, and then build off their pitching, and then they just ride off of that at that point. Honestly, it's like nothing's really worked out for them. So it's a case where like I said, I'm a diehard Mets fan, but I'm also a realist. In this case, I mean, if you're a Mets fan, you expect the worst. Don't expect him to, come out and suddenly. I mean, you got to believe, of course. I always believe, but at the same time, I'm always a realist. And because I'm a Mets fan, and if you are a true Mets fan, you know. If you know, you know. This is one of those things where you have to trade off basically at this point, and it's a trade off season basically. Like you got to be sellers. You can't be buyers. I mean, unless you can get some serious talent in place, it's not happening. And the whole thing is hopefully next year you sign Shohei, get him on board. Hopefully he does really well, and then you build around him with the crew that the young kids basically that you have on the Mets team. Maybe build around them, and hopefully that does really well for them, and go from there. But with that, I don't know what to say. Like I said, it's probably pretty much a lost season at this point. So honestly, if I'm Cohen, the real question comes down to is what do you do with your manager, with Buck Showalter? I don't think you do anything with him. I think you may maybe keep him one more time. It could be a possibility that he's probably. It's possible that Showalter's trying to get rid of Epler. Basically, I don't think he's gelling with Epler, and I think because of this, he's probably trying to do certain things to get Epler fired. In the long term, getting himself fired too. But reality, I think if he can, Epler, as decent as he is, I don't think he's that great. And it's showing basically that some of the players that he signed hasn't done really well, and I don't think his draft picks are going to come through at this point as well too. So, I hate to say it, but the Mets are going to have to fire him and then basically bring on the guy from Milwaukee, the guy that's under contract with Milwaukee. He's no longer the general manager, but he wants to leave. You could tell he wants to leave, and I think he wants to join the Mets. And with a paycheck of that nature, I think he can build a super team at that point as well too, and as well as build the farm system. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts. Please leave your comment in the comment section. I do read my comments. I do respond to them when they warrant a response, and then when I get notified as well too. But let me know, what do you think? Do you think that the Mets should be sellers this season? If you're a Mets fan, please don't rag on me basically. It's oh, well, if you're a diehard Mets fan, I was like, please. And if you're a diehard Mets fan, full on well, basically, why I'm doing this, why I'm ranting at this point. So please don't try to. You could try to try and do a flame war or gaslight me, whatever the phrase is nowadays. But in reality, it's not going to be the case. I mean, if you know as a Mets fan. So if you're a Mets fan trying to gaslight me, not going to work. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Again, if you like my video, like my content, and like my channel, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If you don't like my videos, but don't like my content, but like to but still watch my videos, and just want to get irked or riled up, again, please subscribe if you want to subscribe. But with that, this won't be the last time. I think early in my videos I talked about the Mets. Like I was afraid this is what was going to happen. It was going to be a disappointment, a big letdown. Honestly, if I'm a Mets fan right now, I know they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to make the wild card. Honestly, if I'm the Mets, if I'm Showalter, and if I'm Cohen, I'm dictating to Showalter, tank the season, tank the rest of the season. Try to get that number one draft pick if you possibly can. The only thing is like with the payroll, I don't know if they can at this point, honestly. So that's the one problem, is because of the fact that the payroll and they're over the limit. I think your draft pick goes down by 10 or 12 basically, and which is what happened this year basically. So I don't know what's going to happen next year. If they tank, will they still lose that first round draft pick? I don't know. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and of course, unrehearsed. Until next time.